Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. It is always great to be here with you on Fitness Friday, the best day of the week. Gotta love it. Folks, this time I'm actually just going to be another show and tell episode. I'm continuing this conversation on the fourth P of marketing being promotion. So I've covered all of the four P's now, wrapping up the four P's with this episode. We're going to have two more episodes in this particular series here on marketing. And so, but wanted to kick this episode off by highlighting a surprise I got in the mail the other day from my mother. So when I reflect upon my 25-year fitness journey, and I think about those early lessons I learned as a little girl of just being very physically active and just doing all of these different things. I have always had a lot of different interests. So when I think now 25 years has passed, and the wonderful lessons and support that I certainly received from my parents early on. For many of you know, but there's always new folks watching. My father actually got his undergraduate degree in physical education from Mississippi State University, and of course his graduate degree from the LSU system in nonprofit administration. So I learned those lessons early on. But last week I actually got a surprise in the mail from my mom, a pair of gym shoes. You gotta love it. And I always joke that fitness gifts for me are always in fashion, always in fashion. And so certainly my parents over the years have done a wonderful job in just continuing to be supportive of my fitness journey and what I'm doing. And it's just, and I just cannot, certainly thank and recognize them enough because, without them, you would not be watching this episode, truly. Because that's where those early beginnings certainly came from them and my dad getting me earbuds and fitness apparel. And I mean, they just are fantastic. But just had to open up with that surprise. And there's just been a number of other people during the last 25 years who've certainly been super supportive of my fitness journey. And I just could not recognize all those people, everyone from, former sales managers, when I would tell them, don't schedule anything between 5 and 7 a.m. because I'm at the gym. Like, don't bother me, don't call me, don't text me because I'm not responding. And so I could go on and on, but just had to just start off with that. But folks, want to continue this conversation here on promotions. Talked a lot last time about direct mail. We talked a lot about couponing and freestanding inserts that I showed you from the consumer packaged goods industries and just told you to really be careful from a promotion standpoint, getting addicted to price-driven promotions. Yes, those are wonderful in terms of generating volume. But of course you're going to need the volume in order to compensate for the low price. So remember, from a pricing standpoint, you can either charge a lower price, but you're going to need a higher volume, or you can build value and charge more. And so your volume needs are going to be lower in terms of members. So always keep that into account. And recognize some promotion vehicles or promotion marketing vehicles are going to be more conducive to price promotions. So won't get into all of that, but want to talk about some alternative types of ways to generate buzz, generate publicity, and all of that. And so newspapers. Everyone doesn't have multi-million-dollar marketing budgets in order to do a lot of TV advertising and all of that, but wanted to certainly share some examples here. Yes, some print, some in-club event type of marketing, partnerships with Chamber of Commerce. There's just various different ways that you can certainly go and but recognize. And I spent some time when I was working on my first graduate degree in Florida. I worked in media relations for my university, and so that was a very eye-opening experience as an undergraduate. Just for clarity, I actually was a public relations major, actually a double major in public relations and Spanish. But so it was great exposure in terms of how the media operates, dealing with journalists, how they value stories and what's newsworthy and what isn't, and who's often come to in terms of sources of being quoted. I mean, it was just a wonderful experience doing that. And so I learned a lot about why certain stories are chosen, why certain entities are highlighted more than others, the credibility and the integrity aspect of all of that, and how journalists perceive the potential or prospective entity or organization, or in this particular case, fitness facility or owners, whatever the case may be, and how certain folks excel and are covered a lot, and quite frankly, others aren't, and aren't deemed to be newsworthy or credible in that regard. And so there's certain things that you can do that can generate buzz, that can generate publicity and all of that, coverage, media coverage, news coverage, And certainly, it depends on the size of your city, obviously, but yes, your large, your major newspapers, they're got a lot of folks clamoring for stories, for coverage, pitching those particular reporters based on whether it's business, whether it's food, whether it's, whatever the case may be. And so your smaller newspapers, your smaller entities, whether it be online or offline traditional print, like this is an example of the Livonia Observer. Livonia is one of our suburbs here in the Metro Detroit area, and the reason why I wanted to highlight this is because these folks are not getting the constant calls for, I have this going on, can you cover it? This is happening in my business, can you cover it? They were getting far fewer. This Livonia Observer, with all due respect, well respected obviously in the local community, versus trying to pitch a story to the Detroit News, the Detroit Free Press, two very different, or one of the cable news stations, one of the network TV news stations, very different ball games. And so, for example, here you have the Livonia Observer, and the reason I wanted to point this out is Logan's Roadhouse. Actually, really, they have great East Rolls. I haven't been there in a long time. Logan's Roadhouse reopens after remodel. So you can see they've got a story here, and it's actually continued here on page 2A. So got front page coverage based on a remodel. Now, in the fitness industry, all right, a lot of remodels, a lot of renovations happening. Those type of things, regardless of industry, are always, well, not always, I shouldn't say always, it depends just upon the market that you're in and just how competitive the news environment is. But generally speaking, those types of activities are newsworthy because they show a commitment to renovation, remodeling. Shows that, hey, you're reinvesting in the business. It's going to be hopefully a better experience for members or customers, prospective customers, whatever the case may be. These types of things are really good ways, if you're doing some new things in your club, if you've expanded your club, if you double the size of your club, whatever the case may be. This is something that is newsworthy, certainly in all industries, but certainly in the fitness industry. So I always like to show some non-fitness examples to give you just some perspective that, yes, these certain things work in the fitness industry, but also across various industries. Anytime you're investing in improving situations, improving your facility, improving your value offering, your product offering, your service offerings, that is something that can certainly be pitched to the media. So, had an opportunity to attend the 10th annual, I was going to say 10th anniversary, 10th annual Health and Wellness Fair in West Bloomfield, Michigan, one of our suburbs here in Metro Detroit. It was June 26th, and it had a wonderful time. It was from 11 to 1, so I actually went to that, and then went to the grand reopening of the Planet Fitness in Farmington Hills on my way home. But this was great. So they had vendors at that particular event, but they also had this particular publication that's, Healthy West Bloomfield Today, and I'm sure other suburbs, we don't have something like this in Novi that's health and fitness oriented. We have Novi Today, which is just a general Novi type of magazine, but this one is certainly geared towards fitness. And so at that health and wellness fair, they had vendors, everything from senior living and assisted living to different types of boutique type of fitness areas or fitness facilities. And one I wanted to highlight here was actually a newer one to me called Stretch Zone. And so they had this, free introductory stretch. And so it's a kind of whole boutique model that's centered around stretching. And so that was really interesting. And again, I'm always showing and telling. So they had their pieces here. And so Stretch Zone, Flexibility for Life. The manager's card, and she was actually the one that was there, free introductory stretch. So they've got some marketing collateral. But look, so when you think about your promotional strategy, your marketing strategy, where you are going to be using them and how you're going to be highlighting your facility, your products, your service, your training, whatever the case may be, Stretch Zone. See, they actually got an ad here in this health and wellness oriented publication. Just a great fit, because a lot of folks say, for instance, they could have told themselves, well, we'll get an online ad or we'll take out an ad in the Detroit Free Press. Okay, so first of all, this is not cheap. So you always have to be careful from a promotional standpoint. Where are you going to be advertising? Who is your target market is your first question. Who are you targeting? All right, because you don't want to be wasting a whole lot of money and getting a negative return on your investment because what you're offering is too expensive for the areas or the populations that you're targeting. You know, you always want to think long and hard, and certainly you want to create situations where you've got synergy. Okay, you've got stretch zone that's in here with all of this other health and wellness oriented content, highly targeted, highly targeted. They've got a location that certainly, you know, bodes well to all of this. In West Bloomfield as well, and so just a great fit. And I wanted to show that as an example, to think about non-traditional. So what are some of your alternative publications that you can tap into to generate some publicity for your particular facility, whatever the case may be, product service offerings. And so, as I just alluded to, we've got here Novi Today. And as I mentioned, this is not health and fitness oriented. This is more just Novi across just the entire suburb and all types of news as it relates. But they've got some advertisers as well. And we see here, I've actually had to mark it for myself so I remember, World Fitness, World Sports Fitness, Reach Your Summit. So this is actually, they've got the number. So this is a facility. Never been to that facility, but they certainly advertise in this like each and every time it comes out. And so this is an example. So they have got a situation where, hey, you know, we've got, you know, some Novi news, some Novi business, a number of advertisers inside of this, but they are, you know, have a pretty good placement in this in terms of there's not a lot of fitness type of competition in terms of this particular publication. He's got, you know, reshape your body and change your life and all of that. So he's got a pretty good decent sized ad right here. So just wanted to highlight that again, another alternative vehicle in terms of getting the word out about his facility. It's certainly going to be far less expensive than some of your more traditional type of channels in which to market. So here's another example, print. And as I alluded to, this, you know, if you go with some of your non-traditional type of publications, this is the spinal column. I've highlighted the spinal column before on previous episodes. And so this covers several suburbs, just to read them off: Wixom, Walled Lake, Wolverine Lake, Commerce, Highland, White Lake, and Milford. And so this one caught my attention here because this article, and when we look at the date, Wednesday, February 6th. I told you I saved this stuff for these episodes, folks. And so Milford, the title of this article, Milford CrossFit Gym under new ownership. See what I'm saying? When there's changes, when things are happening that are in your facility, that's an opportunity for you to highlight that and certainly pitch the media of all types to see what type of response you get. So I'm just to quickly read this. CrossFit Justice, a staple of Milford's fitness community for the better part of a decade, is under new management. Chris and Rose Follick are the new owners, and it is their intention to help the CrossFit Justice community take its next steps. A change in leadership can mean many things, but our presence in the Milford community will remain the same. We are here to stay. Chris said, CFJ offers two types of CrossFit classes catering to all levels of ability: CrossFit strength-based and CrossFit endurance. And so it says, just a quick quote here as I wrap this up with this particular article: the endurance class is a great option if you are looking to train for a 5K, marathon, or even an adventure race like Spartan or Tough Mudder, Chris said. Wherever you are in this class can help meet you in the middle. So there you go. So we've got you know, new folks now, new ownership. So this it sounds like this facility's been around for almost a decade. So, you know, I'm sure many loyal folks there in that area that want to know what's going to happen. Are they going to close? Is it going to stay open? So they use this as an opportunity to generate some positive publicity, but also to reassure members and prospective new members that they're going to stay there and they're going to be around for the long haul. So I've alluded to this before on other episodes, but this actually appeared in Hometown Life Sunday, May 26, 2019. And so this is one of our local, one of our local papers here. And so construction to start at Adele Center this month. So this deals, obviously, you've heard me talk about, we've got a new Planet Fitness coming, but we've got some newer, and this appeared, just for clarity, I always like to let you all know, in the Farmington Observer, another suburb, and this appeared Sunday, May 26th, as I alluded to. So this gave an update on this very controversial construction project that's going on now, the Adele Center and Kevin Adele and all of that. And so this gave an update on when this particular project should be completed, and that's actually going to include the new bi-level Planet Fitness. And so this was here, got some coverage. Obviously, it wasn't all about Planet, but this was just going to be, highlighting an update on when this whole news. So if you're in a situation where, particularly if you've got new build, new construction, new facility, something like that, yes, the media wants to know. The media wants to know in terms of what's happening, what's going on, what your timeline looks like, what's going to be there, all of that. So this was an opportunity certainly to get some coverage in that regard. Now, we have got the Ann Arbor family. So you all know I'm involved with clinical trials, loving it as a healthy volunteer at the University of Michigan. The Ann Arbor Family Press here, and this is the April 2019 edition. And let me go on here to the area in which I highlighted. So this whole edition is a health and wellness edition. And so I thought this was really nice. You can see I marked it here. And so you've got a couple of fitness professionals that are highlighting their facilities right here. And yes, you've got other entities that are advertising in this special edition as well. But as you can see here on the left, we've got Jan Hack, who is the Communications Director, Ann Arbor YMCA. And so there is a short Q&A for both of these. The second lady is Krista White, Dance and Zumba Fitness Instructor at Peachy Fitness. And so here we are. We've got them both here in Ann Arbor. So Q&A, just really quickly, I'll just highlight one question from each. What is one easy habit a family, so this is the question to Jan Hack. What is one easy habit a family can implement to live healthier starting today? Play every day, she says. Play may be the best way to prevent childhood obesity. By putting more play into your family's day, you will soon find yourself getting the activity that will have your family feeling energized and strong. It doesn't matter what you choose to do, as long as your arms and legs are moving, it's good for you. All right, moving on to Krista White. Describe one of her questions. Describe your favorite fitness routine for parents and why. What I love seeing most is parents who are staying active by doing something that they truly enjoy. Whether that is biking, dancing, yoga, or lifting weights, finding something fun makes it easier to stay consistent. When parents are regularly exercising with a positive attitude, it influences their child to also see it as an essential yet gratifying component of self-care. This strong example gives them a greater chance of continuing to be physically active well into adulthood. So, another example, an alternative, they could have certainly tried to get into the Detroit Free Press or Detroit News or one of the TV stations, but those are highly competitive situations. But this was a great way with great synergy in terms of this being the health and wellness edition that occurred earlier this year. Now this actually went to a seminar at Schoolcraft, a college here, and 2-year college here. They've got culinary programs, and anyway, they do some good things there. And so this was April 22nd, and I've got my little sticky here to highlight yet another example. So they have their own, they have their own fitness center. And so wanted to highlight this as well. I mean, obviously this is their fitness center for their college, but just a great example from a competitive analysis standpoint as well. If you're in this area, it's important to know wherever area you are. Remember, what are your competitors doing? What's going on? And your competitors, yes, include college and community-oriented fitness facilities. So Schoolcraft College Fitness Center was offering Get Fit for free for credit students, free for 4 credit students and actively teaching faculty, discounts available for staff and spouses. And they've got their hours, so it's, again, from a competitive analysis standpoint, what are their hours? Monday through Friday, 5:30 to 9, Saturday, Sunday, and they've got their amenities, free fitness assessments, free towel service, free full locker room and sauna. So they have all these different things that they're highlighting. But this was really good. I mean, obviously, like I said, this is their entity, this is their college. But from a competitive standpoint, some good information there because folks in that area are competing. This is a competitor that you got to be mindful of what's going on of facilities of all types. All right. In the same vein, we've got University of Michigan. I'm doing, as I alluded to before, clinical trials. So the University Record 2019 Spring Commencement Edition. So this was the week of May 6th. So it was a lot about commencement. And this particular publication is for faculty, but particularly staff, very staff-oriented publications that comes from the, internally from their communications department there at University of Michigan. And so this one highlights Michigan School of Kinesiology Community Programs. See, it states, let's get fit together. 2019 Spring and Summer Kinesiology Community Programs. Beginning and intermediate tennis, beginning and intermediate swim, coach swimming workouts, beginning and intermediate golf, American Red Cross, yada, yada, yada. So they have these activities from a competitive standpoint. Again, if you're in Ann Arbor, this is a threat. This is a threat, but a good example of an entity that is certainly advertising, a very highly targeted advertising for folks that work for the university and certainly are interested in their fitness and all of that. So that is that. So another example I wanted to highlight. And I wanted to also highlight something, and I was actually, this is something that I heard on TV. And so when you get, again, when you have advocates, there's advocates, there's influencers, but anyone who belongs to your facility, anyone who may have belonged in the past, even potential members or visitors, guests to your facility, have voices or influencers. And then in this area, in this day and age of social media, everyone potentially has a voice and has the ability to use it. And so it's so important to know what folks are saying about your facility or facilities, but also to recognize, I mean, there certainly is some media that can be measured, like say for instance, okay, so the School of Kinesiology and all of that, they can say, well, we ran this ad and did we see a bump? Did we see an incremental increase in memberships, interest, foot traffic, all of that, calls, contacts, being contacted by folks that are interested in these courses and classes based on that ad that ran. All right, there's ways you can measure that, return on investment, measured media, but there's also certain cases where you're going to get mentions where you're not going to be able to certainly measure, from a precision standpoint, but you certainly know it's influential and highly impactful. And this is an example I wanted to highlight here. So here I am in my house watching the Word Network. And so just so you all know that is a religious station that is geared towards African Americans, but it includes everyone. It's inclusive, but highly African American. And so Planet Fitness and Powerhouse Gym were mentioned by Bishop Charles Ellis III. Now the episode aired on July 9th, 2019. But the actual title of the sermon was "His Power is in Me." And that sermon is from Pentecost Sunday, because a lot of times, if a service or something happens on this day, it airs a few weeks afterwards, and this is what happens. So this actually service was from Pentecost Sunday, which was June 9th of 2019. And so this is a worldwide broadcast. I mean, Word Network, very, very popular station around the world. And so he actually mentioned, in a positive, favorable way, Planet Fitness and Powerhouse. And I was actually glad that he mentioned Powerhouse, because they are a Highland Park, Michigan founded gym right here in the inner city of Metro Detroit. But that was an example where you've got a very big influencer of a lot of people highlighting two different fitness chains in that particular sermon, in that broadcast. And it just kind of caught me off guard that, like, wow, he mentioned them both in this particular sermon. But that's an example. Planet Fitness or Powerhouse, they weren't counting on that. It just happened. But that is something where folks around the world, I mean, you've already got incredible levels of brand awareness for Planet Fitness, but that's an example of somebody, a very important key influencer, mentioning the chain as well as for Powerhouse, and giving them just a great, I mean, that was great. That was great to see that. And so I actually wrote that down after it happened. I wanted to mention that, because those types of things are also happening. Yes, for your facility or facilities, it could potentially be happening, because if folks are having positive experiences, they can, I don't know if Bishop Ellis is a member of either gym, but certainly he had a brand awareness of both, perhaps experience with both. That was just something that was noteworthy. And in your particular cases, you've got members who are doing the same things, who are posting on Instagram, who are talking about your gym on Facebook, and all of that. So everyone has the potential to be an influencer. But yes, you have the outliers like your Charles Ellis that is talking about this to a global audience of millions and millions and millions of people. That did not cost a thing for Planet Fitness in terms of advertising cost, or Powerhouse Gyms International, also based here as I mentioned. So zero cost, and it reached a lot of people, millions and millions and millions of people. So that was certainly something that was very, very noteworthy, and I wanted to highlight that. So those are different things that you can do to figure out who your influencers are, who the advocates are within your facility or particular facilities, but just also recognize, it doesn't need to be this super, super, a celebrity or something that's talking about your facility, or someone like that. Just the everyday person, going back to customer service. Just how are you treating people? What are the everyday folks saying? And take a look at your reviews to find that out, folks. I wanted to shift gears here. So we talk about promotions, different things that you can do, generating buzz, all of that, generating interest, and more importantly, generating memberships. I had an opportunity to go to grand opening number 2 of the I Love Kickboxing new boutique facility here in Novi. I Love Kickboxing on Sunday, July 14th. And so stop by there right when it started at 1 o'clock. And so they had the DJ and everything, the music and all of that. And I just thought this was a really good example. They did a great job in terms of generating buzz and getting a lot of people out and interested in all of that. And so they, as I'm going through this bag, pulling stuff off for more show and tell, pulling stuff out for more show and tell, but they had their partners. So they actually had vendor tables. It was very interesting. So they had vendor tables of their health and wellness partners from across Metro Detroit. It was very interesting. They weren't just partners that were close to where this particular facility is located. I mean, you had folks from Way and Troy and Bloomfield Hills and all of these other entities that were there with their products and services, had booths and everything. I mean, it was just really, really cool to see that. And so, for an example, partnership with My Nutrition, got a free sample with this card. Fresh VIP, they provided the food, but then also gave some coupons for 10% off and all of that, and where they were, and so that was that. Come kick with it. Oops, fell over. As all my things are falling over now. Get slim, get lean, get toned fast. So you had their own cards, and it shows their promotion of 3 classes, 3 kickboxing classes and free gloves for $19.99. So they had their own promotional stuff, obviously out, highlighting it. And some of their partners had, protein shakes and protein powders. This fell on the floor here. And so we've got, Kind bars. And so this was a healthy option. This, we had True Lemon and True Citrus. So again, just healthy options in terms of, flavoring your waters or other beverages. And open house for Pure Body at Core Sports Studio. And so it's July 25th, highlighting some free classes and Athleta. And so they had a presence, they definitely had a presence there right there at the door. In the mall, and so they actually do some partnership with fitness classes. I Love Kickboxing has come over there and done some classes in one of our prominent malls here in Novi, actually in Metro Detroit, 12 Oaks Mall. So good partnership in that regard. And also Athleta was publicizing some of their upcoming events, all fitness, health, and wellness partnerships types of things that provide great synergy. So think about that. Who can you partner with? They certainly have an audience that perhaps you haven't tapped into or you haven't reached yet, and there could be some opportunity there that you could take advantage of. I mean, synergy on both sides for the both of you. May have markets and that you haven't tapped into yet that you can provide each other with potential members and potential customers, and it would be a great reciprocal situation. This was a great example of that. Also, donations are being made to the Nature Conservancy, so there was Race for the Planet with Athleta as well, and Milford Memories. So there was a race in Milford, or will be, on August 11th. So they were highlighting that, and the lady asked me if I wanted to participate, and I said no. I do not do, outdoor, just running 5Ks and all of that. In summer, you can forget it. But I love kickboxing. So that was a great way. And there was a lot of social media buzz and all of that they generated in advance of that. And they were having folks tag the facility and all of that in their social media posts. So great way to leverage, social media to generate buzz. Also, but just a great example of partnerships, health and wellness partnerships, really coming together. Not only, to promote the grand opening number 2 of I Love Kickboxing in Novi, but also partnering, promoting their health and wellness partners. It was just a great synergy and a great relationship and situation. So I want to move on now here into talk more about event marketing and in-club. There's certainly ways that you can generate some in-club type of buzz and facility around your facility or facilities based on social media. And certainly when we talk about the SWOT analysis, and I just started keeping this now, just always having it handy because I refer to it so often. And so when you think about event marketing and in-club marketing as ways to generate buzz, generate publicity, get the media interested, but more importantly, generate interest and membership signups. And so that's a great way to do that is in-club marketing. And so I would be remiss not to highlight in this regard, let me pull it up, not to highlight Crunch Fitness. One of their strengths, going to the SWOT, all right, so one of their taglines is making fitness fun since 1989. And so they do a lot of in-club, and I'm going to give you some examples here. But again, alternative methods. So for the Greater Farming, the 2019 annual guide, they had a luncheon, I guess it was about 3 months ago that I went to. And so they've got, obviously the directory of members there of the Farmington Chamber. And yes, who is the first fitness facility mentioned in the health and wellness, health centers, fitness equipment category? Crunch Fitness on Haggerty Road. And so there was Franklin Athletic Club mentioned, Integrated Nutrition LLC, and then Orange Theory Fitness located in Farmington Hills. So again, a great opportunity to get visibility. They have hosted an event with the chamber at the club. And so it was very interesting getting chamber members and all of that, brought them on into Crunch Fitness, have the breakfast meeting, have the morning meeting there, get some visibility, but more importantly, get these business owners thinking about Crunch Fitness as a way to potentially increase membership and develop some community partnerships and health and wellness partnerships, because a lot of these companies are offering health and wellness benefits. So just a great tie-in certainly there with the chamber. And you have the opportunity certainly to do the same. Assuming you're in a market with chamber or chambers of commerce, great way to partner, great way to tie in, because there's not a lot of fitness industries just overall in general tap into the chamber market, which is certainly something that you don't want to ignore. And so going on in here, just want to give you a few examples here of Crunch Fitness and what they're doing as an example. So we're going to start out with Mother's Day. So they had a Mother's Day open house on May 12th. So come join the fun. All right, and so our Mother's Day open house weekend is coming to an end, but there's still time to get a free month of fitness, and you can accomplish a lot in a month. Join today for $1 and get your first month free. Stop by the club or click here to join. Offer ends 5/12. And so they've got all the clubs that are listed. So that was Mother's Day. And then, let me see. I've gotten a number of these. Number example here is June 22nd. We are turning 1. So I got an email regarding their 1-year anniversary. As you can see here, let's party. Let's party. Thursday, June 27th, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join us on June 27th from 5 to 8 as we celebrate our 1-year anniversary. We want to thank you for being a part of the Crunch family with a night of fun filled with free food, drinks, vendors, prizes, and more. And so you got the location there, Farmington Hills. So highlighting their 1-year anniversary. And while it's funny, you hear the wording on that is to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. Make no mistake, all of those in-club events or Crunch Fitness, number one goal is to generate memberships. Generate memberships. So there's no everyone standing around and just whatever this and that. Folks are selling. Their trainers are selling. Their staff members are selling. Obviously, and they do a great job with selling because they've got compliance-driven culture where they have been trained to sell, and they are, from a compliance standpoint, monitored on how they are selling. And so, but it sounds fun. It just sounds great and all of that, and it is, and I'm sure it was. But you just got to recognize, the in-club events, you need to have, there needs to be an understanding, what is our goal here? Is just going to have fun? We're just going to spend money? Or are we looking to generate memberships? Or is this going to be certainly, yes, a retention tool, but what are we looking to do for memberships? And so that's certainly something that is very clear with Crunch Fitness in that regard. And it's unique from a franchise standpoint because, yes, your LA Fitness, your Lifetime Fitness, they do major events and things like that. It is absolutely understood that membership and generating memberships is a top priority. But this is a franchise, like I told you, I describe them as a franchise with a corporate mentality. And I won't get into all of this, but they recently bought out by a private equity group. And so now the gloves are about to come off. The gloves are about to come off for Crunch. And so just wanted to highlight that. And so that's an example. So they're always doing in-club events. And so they, the 4th of July, running specials for the 4th of July and all of that. So they do a lot of in club and all of that. So that's an example of different things that you can do to certainly, yes, reward your members, to encourage member retention. We appreciate you. We've been open 5 years, we've been open 10 years, and all of that. But also, is there a component where you're looking to generate awareness of your facility, perhaps for folks who are not familiar with it? Or you're looking to drive memberships? What are the purpose of your in-club events, your event marketing? And so it's very important for you to recognize that when you're investing money from an ROI standpoint, what are the goals? What are the goals? Because that way you won't perhaps spend, I don't know, $3,000 on an event and no one signs up, and you're asking yourself, well, I wonder why our membership numbers are flat, or no one signed up. Well, what were your goals? Was that part of your goals going in? Were you looking to generate awareness, interest, desire, and all of that action based on members who potential members who weren't members? What are you looking to do? Were you encouraging members to bring friends and family and all of that? What are your goals? So it's so important to know, what are you trying to do before you spend a penny from a marketing standpoint? What are your goals? What are you trying to do? And make sure that all that you do reflects that. It is so important, folks. It is so important. So important. I cannot emphasize that enough. Because if you're satisfied with where your membership numbers are, that's wonderful. That's great. Particularly if you're in a contract type of business model. That's wonderful. It's predictable. You know what's going on. You know what's coming in and going out. From a planning standpoint, it's great. Particularly for those who have no contract gyms, where folks can come and go, and membership churn is certainly much higher. So those are certainly things that, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Don't waste money doing things that aren't working, that have never worked for you. Perhaps you need to tweak what you're doing. Evaluate are we targeting the right folks? Do we have the right message? What type of promotion or perhaps sales promotion are we running or shouldn't run? Or those are all things you got to take into account, folks. You got to do that. But in club is a great way, particularly tying it with social media. And in terms of social media, promoting your events and enabling your members, prospective members, folks who come to your events, to post on that. Encourage folks to post on that, because that helps to generate awareness for your clubs amongst their own groups. All right, and so that's so important when you have somebody that perhaps is well respected or physically fit themselves, telling other people in their network, hey, this is my gym, this is what we do, we rock it here, the staff is awesome, whatever, the gym or the facility is great. And that is, again, in many cases, priceless, absolutely priceless, compared to spending a lot of money on direct mail or something where you're going to have certainly far lower response rates than you would in other types of marketing vehicles. So I want to shift gears here and to look about alternative methods in terms of promotions. Planet Fitness. So Planet Fitness, as you've heard me allude to before, from a marketing perspective, is certainly a positive outlier. They're way out there, very high. They're actually the highest brand recall in the industry. They spend a lot of money on advertising, generating awareness, but it dovetails perfectly with their primary target audience of casual exercisers, or folks who have never belonged to a gym before. So it's, again, there's a massive method behind all of that in terms of what they're doing, but they're positive outliers based on based on how much they are spending in their efforts. And so I wanted to highlight a couple of examples here. So yes, many of us all have seen the direct mail pieces, the TV, the radio, and all of that from Planet Fitness. But I have a couple of examples here where one of them is an article. So here, that appeared in Athletic Business. This was December 2018, and Anthony Berg wrote this article. And so this appeared obviously we got some local coverage. They got local coverage on this as well. And the title of this article is Planet Fitness Partners for Kids in Detroit. And so when I mentioned, the media gets pitched by all of these types, just this person, this chain, this, and this industry, this just opened up, a new school just opened up, or, whatever, a business closed down, okay, all right, whatever, a new company's coming to town. It's highly competitive from a media relations standpoint to really get folks to take you seriously and get you covered. And so Planet Fitness is certainly an exception to that. They're very high profile. And so this was an example, though, of this being newsworthy. And the title of this article is Planet Fitness Partners for Kids in Detroit. Planet Fitness is putting its muscle behind a gym in Detroit, Michigan, aimed squarely at kids. I'm going to quickly read it, it's very short. According to the Detroit Free Press, the Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan has partnered with Planet Fitness to build a judgment-free zone and non-intimidating exercise environment within the newly opened Lloyd H. Deal Detroit Club. The brand new fitness facility was built by local Planet Fitness staff and will provide teens the ability to work out in a space that is free of judgment and filled with encouragement, stated a news release on the project. The gym is part of Planet Fitness's national initiative, the Judgment Free Generation, which aims to spread kindness and end bullying. So, what you have an example here, something new, something different, something unique. All right, that's what the media is looking for. And these folks are writing stories, and it was great coverage actually here in athletic business last year. So they're looking, what type of unique angle? What are you doing differently? What's unique? What can you claim that's unique about what you're offering, what you're doing? All right, the media will be all over that. The challenge that they have is that people are coming to them, and there's really nothing that's truly newsworthy that's being pitched. And yes, we all feel that, everything we have to do and everything we have to say, we all personally feel it's newsworthy, but the media feels differently because they've got journalistic responsibilities and standards and objectivity and all of that. And so they don't want to essentially, waste their readers' times or their viewers' times on stuff that just isn't newsworthy. So this was an example of something that's newsworthy even within a very high-profile franchise. So something going on here in Detroit, and you've heard me allude to this last year, but anything that folks can do, particularly in the inner city in Detroit, is quite newsworthy, certainly from a Southeast Michigan standpoint. So this was a very good tie-in, but also with their overall initiative against bullying and spreading kindness. So it was a great tie-in, and I wanted to highlight that. So think about things that you can do and are doing and have done or could be doing that are unique and different, that you too can get some good coverage, even some national coverage or actually international coverage for athletic business. Folks around the world read that publication. So here's another one that occurred, this one that appeared in pffranchisee.org. And so this is from, this one is the dates, December 27th of 2018 by Rachel Jackson. So obviously you've got an online, I don't know if this is a portal or what this is, but it's the PF Independent Franchisee Council. All right, and so you actually can log in, that I'm looking here on the right side of the page, but this is a way for, even within that franchise, to generate publicity and, hey, let other franchisees know what's going on within a particular franchisee's location or locations. So this one was highlighting, you've heard me allude to them in the past, PF Michigan Group. The title of this is PF Michigan Group goes above and beyond to spread kindness to local community. So, going back to our outlier, the bell curve here. And so we know, you've heard me mention them a lot, PF Michigan Group. And so this time they own 46 clubs, and so makes them one of the largest franchisee groups in the nation, not just for Planet Fitness, just in the overall fitness industry in general, actually across many different industry and brands when you own that many. And so, but you have to recognize they get a lot of, they get press because they are positive outliers. And so if you own a gym and you have, a private gym owner here in Metro Detroit may own 2 locations. And so from the media standpoint, they get so many folks contacted them and this and that. So the person with 2 gyms is competing with PF Michigan Group, in this example, with 46 gyms. So you have to recognize, the person with 2 gyms may say, I don't understand why they won't cover me, and this is great, and this is whatever, but you have to recognize the reality of life. All right, the media and just people in general are very interested in positive outliers. They want to hear about, what did I tell? And I alluded to this before a number of episodes ago, when my dad, my parents live in Shreveport, Louisiana, and he listens to iHeartRadio every morning, WJR, which is one of our local stations here. And so he's listening to the radio apparently one morning, and someone from Planet Fitness, from PF Michigan Group, was being advertised. I'm going to come back to this article in a second. But he says, and he calls me on the phone, and he says, this morning there was a man that was being interviewed from Planet Fitness. He owned more than 40 locations. Do you know who they were talking about? And then it was just so funny the way he said it. But that's his type of reaction is what explains why, when you're a positive outlier like that, you're going to get coverage. Because my dad said 40 something locations. Wow. Do you know who that was? And I'm, sitting there thinking, I said it had to be, with knowing it was 40 something gems, I said it had to be someone from PF Michigan Group. But that's an example. With all due respect, I mean, because even if you're a fellow franchisee within that chain, again, you've got your positive outliers that are going to be out front. Just the media is just going to gravitate towards that, and that's certainly true for private, for your YMCA's, and all of that. There's only so much newspaper space. There's only so much time on news broadcast and all of that in terms of covering. So you just got to recognize, but continue doing what you can do and being the best at what you can do and operating your facilities with excellence, and your time will come. You just may have to get creative. You may have to do some in-club stuff to get some coverage, but I just don't want you to be discouraged. And I think a lot of people, not even only in the fitness industry, but just in general, just feel that, the media doesn't care and I never can get coverage, because you got to recognize when folks are saying these mentions, for example, like from Bishop Ellis that I mentioned before on that in his sermon, those are highly influential. I mean, studies have been done. You can Google it, where traditional advertising versus, a newspaper article or a television interview or radio interview tends to be, because the media is perceived versus, the customer knows, okay, they paid X amount for this ad that I'm reading. Of course they're going to say this. But when the media comes in and is willing to interview someone on a radio show, on a TV show, whatever, it carries a higher level of credibility in the audience's mind and potential customers' mind. So just keep that in mind. But don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. In basketball, who do we hear about? The LeBron James, the Kawhi Leonards, okay? Positive outliers in general, because those are the folks that are inspiring people. Those are the folks that are making things happen. So, but you too are making things happen, but you just got to recognize from a general interest standpoint, just for everyday human beings, those positive outliers are going to be out front, making things happen in terms of their stuff being covered, is what I'm saying. And so back to this article now. PF Michigan Group goes above and beyond to spread kindness to local community. Also tying in with that anti-bullying and spreading kindness. So I saw this, and just to quickly read it, a little bit of it, on August 18th, PF Michigan Group's Westland, Garden City, and Wayne, Michigan locations all partnered in the Kindness Rally along with 54 other teams throughout Michigan. This year, for the first time, General Manager of the Westland PF, Karen Ryan, you've heard me mention her. I met her before at a grand opening of the Wayne Club. She needs to be a regional director, but that's another story. Helped organize the Kindness Rally, a charity event which aims to spread simple acts of kindness through friendly competition. Even though this was Ryan's first year helping orchestrate the event, PF Michigan Group, owned by Brian Reef and Pete Hopkins, has been participating in the event since its creation in 2016. Formerly known as Rally for Redford and started by the Junior Chamber International in Redford, Michigan, the Kindness Rally was presented at a conference in the Midwest earlier this year, giving it national exposure. During the rally, teams are presented with a list of tasks, all necessary supplies, and a time frame in which to complete them. The team that completes the most tasks is heralded as the winner and goes home knowing that they did all they could to brighten the day of community members. I was managing the Redford location back in 2016 when the program began. The first year PF sponsored the event, our donation was allotted towards t-shirts for the event, said Ryan. We participated in the event that year with a team that consisted of myself and a few members of Planet Fitness. In 2017, the event began to grow, and PF participated in the same capacity, but via the Westland JCs. Our sponsorship reached a statewide level last year, so we outfitted all participants in many communities. Finally, in 2018, I was asked to chair my own event. We still outfitted the whole state with Kindness Rally shirts, and I'm going to end it there in the interest of time. But that's an example. What are you doing that's different? What are you doing that's unique that you can even highlight within your own franchise chain? All right, you can do the same whether you're independent facility, private, studio, whatever. Do things that are unique, but also community oriented, that are truly about helping people and making a difference and impacting people's lives. Those types of things are newsworthy. All right, folks want to know that you're genuine, that you're sincere, that you're not just walking, that you're truly walking the walk and walking the talk as well. You don't want to say that you have these values and then you're never doing anything to really reinforce the fact that those are your values. Take opportunities and recognize. There are various types of channels you can use to promote your facility or facilities. But there's the media aspect, and there's just a lot of different ways that you can promote your business that won't cost you a cent. All right, and then but you gotta do what you can do, control what you can control, and that just means doing things differently, being different. You too, going back to our bell curve, so we know that most facilities are right here, right under this bell curve, the mean or the median. But you can do by providing strong customer service and a positive experience. You too can be out front. I mean, you may not have it in you, or even just a dream to own 5 facilities. One may be your goal. Operate that one with excellence, and you continue to persevere. Your time will come. Your time for being covered or interviewed, whatever the case may come. You have good folks working for you. I assure you, your time will come. Don't give up, but utilize creative means to make things happen. But also don't discount the role that social media plays, and the everyday experience that your folks, your members, potential members, are having at your location or locations. That is something that is huge, because people talk. People talk constantly. All right, you don't need to be spending $50,000 a year on marketing if folks are going and looking at your online reviews and they're talking about how mediocre the facility or facilities are. You do not want to, because all the marketing in the world is not going to help that. All right, take time to improve on what folks are currently experiencing. You may need to renovate. You may need to remodel. You may need to relocate to a different area in terms of a bigger facility, whatever the case may be. But work on providing a positive experience, and folks will talk about it. Create memorable, unique experiences, and yes, folks will be all over it. I can just time and time again, I've experienced just during my fitness journey, just the things and just wonderful experiences and just some great people, and it just, it never ceases to amaze me. And these are the things that I talk about. Think about when I'm doing these episodes and how certain things pop out and whatever, and I share certain examples. And it's like, boom, but what is that? So I'm doing word of mouth on these episodes based on positive experiences that I have. And sometimes I'm just blown away by what I see, what I've experienced over the years. And it just never ceases to amaze me. And I talk about it. Now, the person, some of your members may not have a formal platform, but they're talking. Rest assured me, they are talking. So do your best to wow people, and you will not be disappointed. Just control what you can control, and folks will talk. And I am living proof of that. Sometimes I see things, I'm like, oh my goodness. Let me give you a quick example as I'm about to wrap this episode up here. PF Adventure, Rachelle's PF Adventure to Rochester Hills, Michigan. Friday, July 19th. So never been to that club before. In fact, I couldn't recall ever having, because Metro Detroit has a lot of suburbs. Couldn't recall just having to actually go to Rochester Hills. I actually had an appointment in Oakland Township, which was about 5 miles away from where that planet was. So that was the closest one. So I went to that location. Had a wonderful experience that morning. Okay, that during that time that the heat wave gripping most of the nation was going on, and I remember walking into that club, mentally thinking to myself, man, I hope this club is cool. I hope I don't get hot in here. It was my first adventure. So I went in, folks, and, put my stuff up and headed to that treadmill. And I just saw those low fans, and that temperature in there was great. And I said, this workout is about to be great. But had a wonderful workout. But this is what I talk about, control what you can control. So, in terms of how I do reviews and all of that. So, I'd only been there one time, so couldn't do a survey for that location. But what happened that morning, what I witnessed, what I saw, certainly caused me, I got to reevaluate some of my criteria in terms of how I evaluate facilities. And that being one of my criteria in terms of doing surveys is when a member of the management team is there, it's just an automatic exclusion, because, it just creates bias and whatever. It's easy for workers to do and do all of this stuff when a manager or member of the management team is there. But what happens, as I learned that morning, when the person who is killing it, who is cleaning, like he is a custodian for a 5-star resort. His name was Lawrence. Greeted me when I came in, good attitude, but that man cleaned his heart out. For the first time, I saw that in 25 years. I have never seen that. Remember the management team? Cleaning his heart out for the most of the time I was there. I was having flashbacks. I'm on the rower, folks, and I see him cleaning on his hands, on his knees, with a rag, cleaning that recumbent stepper all over that gym cleaning. I had a flashback to Powerhouse. You all know how I used to talk about Sue, the cleaning lady who had been with them. It should be 20 years now with Powerhouse. Cleaning lady took tremendous pride in that facility, and I saw the same thing in Lawrence that day, but an assistant manager killing it, killing that floor. And I said, you know what? Came home, wrote a case study. I'm going to be highlighting that man for years as an example. You know, leadership development is what I do. But that's an example, all right? So I'm going to be talking about that experience. I'm going to be talking about what I saw for years and years and years, all right? You can't measure that from a traditional media standpoint, but what I witnessed and what I saw was like, wow, this is just something else. This needs to be on a Undercover Boss episode. This was just great. So those type of experiences in your facility are possible. You know, you hire the right people, you get the right people on the bus, according to the Jim Collins book I often highlight, get the right people on the bus, but in his case, certainly got the right person in the right seat. A leader who is not afraid to get down on his knees and clean a machine. Was fantastic to see that. And I'm on here talking about it, all right? To people, thousands of people are hearing this right now. So those types of things are possible. Just do good things, do what you can do, and things will happen for you as well. And finally, folks, we talk about just alternative ways to reach people, and particularly folks who are gym leaders, particularly owners. There's opportunities for you from a leadership perspective. You can write articles, certainly to your local newspapers. Certainly offer to be, pitch your story, to be interviewed. But like athletic business, and this is actually here, the July-August edition. And so there's actually an article in next month, September's, will be the final edition of Rob Bishop's, owners column, the Owners Club column. But I encourage you, and you can find this online as well if you Google it or go to athleticbusiness.com and just search for it. But just a wonderful article, reflections on favorite AB contributions. So for the last 9 years, he talks about some of his favorite columns. But that's an example. He's a thought leader. He remains, even though his club is closing. Sadly, I'm still sad about that. That the deal fell through to sell it, so he's got to close it, or it's been closed now, end of July, and so this is an example, of somebody that used his influence, and certainly with athletic business, this publication is certainly an outlier. People around the world are seeing this publication, but you can start with your local newspaper, and it can grow. The local small newspaper can turn into a major newspaper or several major newspapers and then national publications and international publications, but start somewhere. Utilize your knowledge, your wisdom, your expertise, and on your leadership in order to benefit the industry, benefit your community most importantly. But those are the folks when media, when your athletic business, when folks sense that you're sincere and you're passionate and you're committed and you have a true sense of purpose for what you are doing, in this case in the fitness industry, folks will find you. Something my dad always, when I've heard him say it actually pretty recently, but just growing up, we always heard cream always rises to the top. Just be the best that you can be, do the best that you can do. We're all imperfect, we're gonna make mistakes, we're human, but just do and be your best and strive to do great things, and you will get coverage, you will get promoted by folks like me and your members and influencers and all of that, but just everyday folks who are just as important to helping you to become and certainly remain successful. So that's all I have for you today. We've got 2 more episodes left in this series, but until then, folks, I can't wait. So stay tuned, and remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness and leadership as well as success. Make it a great day.